right, looks like we're ready to go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our video segment here. I'm Shawn,
And I'm Brunson.
Mikael Brunson, and we are going to discuss an NFL preview here for you today. First things first, I guess we'll just dive on into it. Spygate. It's a big issue, apparently. Today, ESPN and Sports Illustrated, I guess both kind of, I mean, they're part of the same thing, but came out with a 20-page report on what actually, went on behind the scenes with it, and little stats here that I took, little notes here, I should say, I took from it. From 2000 to 2007, the Patriots videotaped the signals of 40 other teams. So in 7 years, that's like, 5 to 6 games a year. They were recording, on average, they were recording games. And it's just become a mess, honestly. At first, I thought Goodell was going to look bad. Then I thought, Robert Kraft was the one looking bad. And now it's just a mess. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's one of those where no one's going to come out a winner in the end. Mostly because it seems like nobody knows what's going on when we know everybody knows what's going on.
Right, exactly.
So my take on it is that I think we all, it's a professional world, and we all dream that, they're all standout citizens, that everyone is a Walter Payton Man of the Year, that everyone is, doing all these great, wonderful things, and they are, but there's always things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think that now things are starting to become more into because it's the age we live in.
Yeah.
Where you tweet something, and you can delete it, but it's still there forever.
Once it's read, it's read, yeah.
And so we live in an age where if even just one little tiny thing gets out, you can't escape it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Some of the owners also think that Goodell's handling, of Deflategate is kind of like a makeup call in that sense, because he gave them the easy slap on the wrist, so to speak, in the Spygate deal. But I don't know, man. I just think there's been so many incidents with the Patriots that it's just like, stop playing dumb. Like, it's time, just own up to it. I get that, especially in the Deflategate, Tom Brady, they couldn't prove that he was guilty, but there's a reason he didn't turn in his cell phone also.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not a Patriots fan. I never have been, and it's not getting it's not getting close to being one anytime soon.
They're not selling it very well.
Yeah. So. No, but anyways, after looking at that, we can dive into preview of what the NFL season is going to look like in our minds. So first and foremost, we'll go division by division. I have the first division we're going to talk about now is the AFC East. It's the Bills, Jets, Pats, and Dolphins. I have the Patriots winning that division, but I also have the Dolphins squeaking into the playoffs. Despite what I just said about the Patriots, they are the Patriots, and they always seem to find a way, no matter what. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady together. I never, even last year against Kansas City, after that, whenever they were getting, they were just getting pounded.
Everyone was saying, "Oh, the era is over. They're done.
Yeah.
They're done." And
they won a Super Bowl.
They lose one more game the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Or 2 more games the rest of the year.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. I just think they are a dynasty. And this year in that division, though, interestingly enough, the Dolphins they had a really good defense last year. I think they were the 11th ranked defense, total defense in the league last year, and they're adding Sue to that.
Yeah.
So
just a nastiness. And
yeah.
That's something you cannot teach.
Yeah.
You can't be like, hey, I want you to be this type of mean, because some guys are like, I don't know what that means. I'll try harder.
Yeah.
Sue's like, I'll try hard and I'll beat you to death on it.
Yeah. No, yeah, and he plugs a huge gap, on their D-line. Not that they had, I'm not saying they had a gap, but
they didn't have issues before,
yeah,
but now it's just even better.
So, I mean, he's going to get sacks. He's going to plug up the hole for, running backs running up there. And I have the Dolphins finishing at 10-6 and making the playoffs there. So
I think I have the same two, New England and Miami.
Yeah.
All based on Tannehill.
Okay. Yeah, Tannehill's good. Definitely. And they have Lamar Miller. They have Jarvis Landry now. He'll probably be in the slot a lot, but
it's to be a different offense.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be good for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm rooting for the Dolphins. Actually, I would like for someone to eventually come out of the AFC East besides the Pats.
Yeah.
So this is a step towards that. Then we'll go to the AFC North. Now, this division typically is a division where, in previous years, 3 teams were expected, or at least certainly had a good shot of coming out of that division. But I don't have that anymore. I think the division's getting weaker. Mm-hmm. And honestly, this year I have the Bengals emerging victorious out of that division. I still think the Ravens and Steelers are going to fight it out for that second one, but I don't think both of them get in. Maybe insulting to the Browns. Sorry, Browns fans, but
I've got enough rough life as it is.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I can't see them in any scenario beating out the Bengals, and
they're that team that they're going to have 1 or 2 good games.
Yeah.
This year that you're just like, wow, and they're going to win 3 or 4. And you're just like, man, it's their time. It's their time. They had a winning record 2 months into the season last year, and then.
Yeah. No, I don't think old Johnny Manziel is going to be their savior like everyone thought.
This is probably the first one we disagree on.
Yeah.
Just because I think that this is the year that the Bengals they go one way or the other.
Okay.
So it's no longer going to be the get into the playoffs. I think this is going to be either the year they sink or swim, and I think it's going to be swim.
Yeah.
Which I hate because I love Dalton.
Yeah.
Great dude.
So
TCU, Horned Frogs.
Do you think that
this one,
since you say sink or swim, if Dalton, because last year Dalton had 19 touchdown passes and 17 picks, if he doesn't get them at least to a playoff win, do they go to AJ McCarron?
I think that at some point in the season, a situation is going to rise. Maybe it'll be injury, maybe it'll be just poor play. I think there will come a time when Marvin Lewis has to say, you know what, let's just try this just to see.
Sure.
We'll see, because it's not that Dalton is bad. It's not that he's great.
Right.
He's a very reliable quarterback.
Yeah.
But in a city where they want something to root for, they need more.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I was actually with you on that. I want Dalton to do well. DFW, local kid from TCU, but yeah, sink or swim for the Bengals. I do think they come out of the division, and I do think either the Ravens or Steelers have a chance at the wild card as well. Moving to the AFC South, we got the Titans, Jags, Colts, and the Texans. I think this division isn't that difficult to predict. I think the Colts easily come out of this division. Andrew Luck, you're giving more weapons to Andrew Luck. He has Andre Johnson, a veteran running back in Frank Gore. Their offense is going to be pretty much unstoppable, pretty close to it.
I think the big thing that people are going to see is they'll see the Andre Johnson, they'll see Frank Gore, like these are seasoned guys. What they don't realize is that all these turnovers Andrew Luck has, a lot of them come from him feel like he has to do too much. Yeah. So having the 2 veteran guys on the field will be a great boost for him. I think that his turnovers are going to go down dramatically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm a big Andrew Luck fan. Sadly, I don't think anyone else from the AFC South comes out of into the playoffs. But I will say this: I do have faith in the Titans to improve.
Yes,
I think Tennessee with Mariota can improve. I think he has decent receivers, Kenny Britt and Dorial Beckham Green.
Yeah, Delaney Walker.
Yeah, solid tight end. Bishop Sankey is. Yeah.
So they're a team that it's not always going to be like the Bengals we were just talking about, where one year they get their quarterback and they get the wide receiver. Most teams it takes them a couple years. So I think they might be a wide receiver, really solid running back away, but I think they can get there soon.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping so. Moving to the AFC West, this one for me is also a landslide. I have Peyton. 38-year-old Peyton this year? 39. 39-year-old Peyton this year. I still have them coming out of the AFC West. A little more competitive than the AFC South. I do have the Chargers challenging. I put the Oakland Raiders at 7-9. That's probably a stretch for them even. But I think with Derek Carr on Oakland,
he's got something.
Amari Cooper, I think they have a chance. But I think that's the best they can do is 7-9.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Denver's certainly going to be coming out. Other than that, you got 3 mediocre teams in my eyes, at least.
Yeah, they all have that potential.
Yeah.
But we've seen in the last few years that they don't live up to it. So
no.
It's the Peyton factor. He's better than the best 3 or 4 players on your team combined. just in his brain.
Absolutely.
So his body's slowing down, but his brain won't. That's going to get to the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot does depend on old Peyton Manning. So now we will move on to the NFC preview, and we are going to go to the NFC West first. That is the Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, and Cardinals. And honestly, this division used to be interesting. I think Seattle wins it in a landslide. I have them going 11-5.
There's no Harbaugh.
No Harbaugh. The Cardinals, honestly, their defense will be good, but Palmer is. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. No. I just think he's average.
He's it's weird to say he's like Andy Dalton. But it's just the way it is. It's
an older Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton, and
he's never progressed into that great elite level quarterback.
And that's something that people forget about, that big ACL injury that he had. Sometimes things you just really can't recover from.
Yeah,
it's just you're always waiting to get over that hump, and you just can't get there sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I 100% agree. Closest team to them, I do have the Cardinals at 9-7. I think the Rams take a jump and maybe get to 500, but we'll see. I think Foles is going to actually help their offense.
Yes,
but yes,
that was the biggest surprise for me was you trade a reliable quarterback for an injury-prone quarterback.
Yeah.
But
it's all right. He's coming to the NFC East.
Yeah.
So that's fine. The NFC South, the Falcons, the Saints, Panthers, and Tampa Bay, the weakest division I've ever seen. A team come out and make the playoffs at 6-10.
So just gross. The title game was one of the most depressing things I've ever seen.
Jeez.
But that division is the we were talking about this before.
Yeah,
can't get worse.
No, it can't.
It can't get worse.
There's no way it can get worse.
And there was a lot of big injuries there. And all four teams had injuries, and I think the ship starts to ride a little bit.
Yeah,
Jameis is going to make it much more interesting.
You've got two big options there, Vincent Jackson and Mike Evans. So.
I still have Carolina in this one. I think their defense is the selling point because no one else has a solid defense just yet. So.
They don't. I actually have Atlanta coming out at 10-6. I think they regained their form from what they were before they started going downhill. I know Matt Ryan has the big target in Julio Jones. I think today it was just announced that they're starting running backs, Coleman.
Yeah.
Tevin Coleman.
Yeah.
So I look forward to see what the rookie can do. I have the Saints, at 9-7. I think their offense is always explosive. Specifically, it's at the Superdome.
Yeah, last year was the biggest example of a fluke for the Saints.
Yeah.
There's no real reason why they lost as much as they did last year.
No.
You can't explain. You just look at it, and now if you look in hindsight, you're like, they lost to the Lions, and they had a fourth quarter lead?
Okay. Yeah. That usually doesn't happen. It's not typical, and I do think they bounce back and get to a winning season. Moving to the NFC North, I've got it's the Bears, the Vikings, Packers, and Lions. I definitely have the Packers coming out of that one.
Same.
I think the Vikings can get a little better, but I don't think they're ready to overtake Rodgers.
No.
I get, Jordy tore his ACL, but so Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, and they just signed James Jones again, who has played in their system.
It's the case of you have it in a couple places in J.J. Watt, and you have it with Aaron Rodgers. Those are two big examples of just a guy that is just so talented. You can't stop them.
Yeah.
You can't stop them from being good at that. You can't. Unfortunately for Houston, his offensive skills don't translate on every play, so they can't always fix the offense. But with Green Bay, you don't even really need a defense, and their defense could be better, but you don't need it because you're going to be outscoring people every week. Yeah.
No, Rodgers was a bit hobbled towards the end of the season last year, so I think a lot does depend on that. But if he's healthy, watch out. It's going to be the same type of offense they were.
Eddie Lacy is going to have a great year.
Yeah. Rodgers opens all that up for Lacy, so I for sure think Lacy's 1,200, 1,300 yard back. Moving to our favorite division, assuming
the most interesting,
the NFC East, and I say that because I think there are three teams in this division that can potentially make the playoffs. And I am a homer. I am a Cowboys fan, so don't hold that against me. But I have the Cowboys coming out at 11-5, and the Eagles hot on their heels at 10-6 again, which they were 10-6 last year and missed the playoffs.
Yes, that's depressing.
So I think they finally get to it. And honestly, these could be flip flopped, but I'm a Cowboys homer, so.
I'm the exact same way, and I think that I was. It's one of those where we're not used to having a high opinion of the Cowboys. We're waiting for okay, what's going to happen now? Okay. And if you flash back to my expression after Week 1 last year against San Francisco, where I'm just like, I have to go through this for 5 months. I have to. Why? What have I done to deserve this?
Yeah.
But you see from the next week on Tennessee, and then the comeback against St. Louis, and then just rolls on, and you just have this really great season. It builds confidence, and it makes you look at everything differently. Guys that before you're thinking, oh, this is a bust, this is a waste. You're like, well, he doesn't really have to do a lot this year. It makes you look at everything differently. So I also have them winning the division this year. I had them actually with the home field advantage until Scandrick went down.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought he does make that big of a difference. So I think that will hurt them at certain points in the season.
I agree. I think that once our pass rush gets set, it's going to be better. And when your corners don't have to cover for 5 to 7 seconds, and they're just covering for 3 seconds,
yes,
it helps a lot because they didn't have a pass rush.
Yes, the math starts to get a little bit more favorable.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
And then for me, it's Eagles. Eagles, for me, it's a flip of the coin. They could be good or they could be bad.
Yeah, no, honestly, with Chip Kelly's earlier season moves, he's like, what are you doing? But
he's dedicating to the run game, and he made his defense better. So when you look at it in that way, he might be doing something. So it just all depends on Sam Bradford staying together for a season.
Yeah, definitely. So with that, we'll move to the playoffs. The AFC seedings. We've got the Patriots 1, Colts 2. They'll both get the bye. The Bengals 3, Broncos 4. Dolphins sliding into that 5th position, and the Ravens at 6 again. So
the only difference I have 2 differences: flipping Indy and New England. So Indy number 1, New England 2, and then I've got Pittsburgh instead of Cincinnati in that number 3 spot. But everything else is the same.
Yeah, solid. I mean, the Steelers can certainly still come out of that division. So with that, if it shaped out that way, the Bengals would play the Ravens in mine. Mm-hmm. The Broncos would play the Dolphins, and with that, I have the Bengals finally winning a playoff game. I think the only time they've
especially against the Ravens, that would make that city just explode.
I'm in Dalton's corner, like I said, man. I hope he does it.
Yeah.
And I got the Broncos beating out the Dolphins, although the Dolphins are going to be on the rise, so it's just a blessing for them to get to the playoffs.
Yeah,
so
they'll take it.
Yeah. With that, I actually have the same AFC Championship game as last year, the Pats and the Colts. Different result this time. I do have Andrew Luck emerging victorious in this one. I think it's his time. He's been there. He knows what to expect. He knows how to deal with, the pressure that comes with it. And I have the Colts reaching the Super Bowl from the AFC side.
So for me, again, I've got the matches would be Pittsburgh against Baltimore, a rematch of last year's wildcard game with the Terrell Suggs kneeception. And then I got Denver and Miami. I'm going differently with that one. I'm going Miami over Denver. And Peyton Manning is my favorite player of all time, but I'm terrified to think of Ndamukong Suh going against him, especially when you're not really certain what his line is going to look like. So I've got Miami winning that one. I've got Pittsburgh winning against Baltimore this time around. Even though it's the playoffs, it's tough to pick against Joe Flacco, strangely, in the playoffs. Yeah. But so I've got the same NFC Championship game, or the AFC Championship game. I've got New England beating Pittsburgh, and then Indy beating Miami. So same result. I've got Indy beating New England, 30-24.
Very specific, yeah. Well, that's good, yeah. No, I certainly agree. Defense does win championships, and the Dolphins got better at that. So let's move on to the NFC. My seeding here is the Seahawks in first. The Cowboys sliding into that 2nd position, although they have the same record as the Packers. Mm-hmm. I think that Rodgers might, they're already off to an injury-ridden season. Mm-hmm. One injury to Rodgers in their season could be completely done for. The Packers at 4th, the Eagles sliding into the 5th position, and the Saints in that 6th one. So I have 3 new playoff teams in the NFC.
I've got 2. So I've got Seattle 1, Dallas 2, Green Bay 3. Top 3 are the same. Then I've got Carolina And then Minnesota, I think that Adrian Peterson is that good.
Oh yeah.
And then the Giants, just because it feels like one of those years where we're going to start questioning the Giants. So I think they're gonna do enough to sneak in.
Yeah, certainly. Peterson was a 2,000-yard rusher before he sat out last season. So
without a very good quarterback, he had 2,000 yards rushing.
It's only going to get opened up for him if Bridgewater turns out. So the divisional round on the NFC side, I've got the Seahawks against the Eagles and the Cowboys extracting revenge against the Packers. It was a catch. Had to throw that in there. And the NFC Championship game, I have Seattle emerging, so it'd be Seattle versus Dallas. Only this time, I think we go to Seattle again and show them that we, with a full squad, are better than them, and we have a Colts-Cowboys final.
And for me, it's the same setup actually. Dallas versus Green Bay in the divisionals, and then I've got the Vikings heading up to Seattle, and unfortunately seeing the 12th man and how unfriendly they are. But then in the title of the game, I do have Seattle and Dallas, and I think that the playmakers that Dallas has, even though the Seahawks now have Jimmy Graham, I think it'll be enough. I think that magic will be there, and I think they're going to the Super Bowl too.
All right.
Now,
once you get there,
this is the problem with me is that I can't do it. I can't pick them to win the Super Bowl. I just can't do it. So I'm picking the Colts to win over the Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
That's very unbiased of you. I, on the other hand, am going to be biased. I don't care. I think the Cowboys, even if I'm not being biased, have the potential to win the Super Bowl. They have the talent. You can't tell me they don't have the receivers. The only question is, how's their defense going to turn out? And, two questions, and their running backs.
Yes.
How are they going to mesh with the line? Because in preseason, the brightest spot that I've seen is the 3 or 4 plays that Darren McFadden played.
Yeah.
And, he's the only one that was gaining. I guess we already cut with Medina.
Yes.
He was doing well.
Yes. So, I guess we have to trust the NFL Executive of the Year, Jerry Jones, to make their good decisions. But this is a 12-14. People will forget that, but this is a 12-14.
It's hard to get back to 12-4.
Well, very hard.
It's hard,
especially when you look that the 12-4 came with a couple of really, really weird losses.
Yeah.
A game
we didn't have Romo.
We didn't have Romo against the Cardinals, and you score 1 touchdown. And then the Redskins game, which I was actually at, and it was.
Was there too?
Yeah. And that was. See, we're all learning something every day.
Yes.
But that was a heartbreaker. But you have those kind of weird games.
Yeah.
But you had a couple that you shouldn't have won.
Yeah, definitely. So all in all, it does even out. We certainly thank you for tuning in to this segment here. I know it's taking up some of your time, so we definitely appreciate it. So from Louisville, Texas, we will bid you adieu.
So.